For those that didn't know, he passed away from complications from his kidneys. We all know he's in a better place, away from pain and suffering.
You got to hold on and don't let go of yourself. You gotta let it in and then you let it out. And keep your faith and don't ever.
He loves connecting people to biblical ideas through his gift, which is drama. He loves doing that, and he loves adventure. And so a number of years ago, when he found out that the church was heading to Israel, he got excited. Lou gets up on the thing, and he's sitting there, and I'm like, oh no, Lou, you gonna be okay? And he's like, oh yeah, and his eyes are wide, he's excited, he's grinning ear to ear, and he gets up on the camel, and he was like that. I thought he was gonna fall off, and I'm like, oh no, and he's grinning, and this became a passion of his. He talked about that camel every single day. Living. And that's the thing. We were at this place, it's called Golgotha, and this is the place where they crucified Jesus. And as we're walking through this, and Lou looked at that and he just goes, wow, there it is. And we would just talk. We would talk about everything. And of course, those that know him know he's passionate, loves his family, he loves drama. Did you know that? He likes to go to plays. Did you know he likes to write plays? We will see Lou again. And then we'll see what he's been writing while he's been up there. I'm sure it's going to be interesting.
Dr. Derek Smith was another one that worked with us on stage. And actually, Lou invited Derek to outside of church to try the stage, and he found out he really liked it, so they were really teamed up. He said, I had never felt so supported ministerially before. Lou would call him the Tuesday before he had to teach at all 4 services and say, what do you need, and talk about it, and then he would help direct him in the teaching. But he and Lou just had a good time helping teach truth and create good visuals. Lou was a faithful, creative, tireless man with whom dramatic service to the church was a distinct honor, and it was an honor for him. It's strange how time goes by, and because you run into Lou and you wouldn't miss a beat. It was like no time had passed, and you just catch up on things. And I had the pleasure of having his 70th birthday at my house. I lived in Roseman too, and got to visit him several times. It is good to praise the Lord and make music to your name, O Most High, proclaiming your love in the morning and your faithfulness at night, to the music of the 10-string lyre and the melody of the harp. And I feel like that 10-string lyre and the melody of the harp of Lou was the creative process that he did with props and sets and drama.
Before I start this brief little eulogy, I have a little audio clip I'd like you to hear from one of his good friends.
Hi, my name is Alan Kazan. I'm a pastor at Hope Chapel in Hermosa Beach. And I just want to say that for quite a number of years, Louis Merryman was real instrumental in our drama ministry. He was the spark that ignited our drama programs over the course of several years. And Lou was very passionate about drama and about stage performance and theatrical arts. And he was a quiet, but boy was he persistent. Very persistent. Would make sure everything gets done. If we needed anything, he would traipse high and low. Didn't matter what the distance, he would get it. And so we're going to be very, very sorely at a loss that he is no longer with us. He touched so many lives at our church through his contribution, through his effort, and we're going to sorely miss him. We did so many plays. Pilgrim's Progress was one we did, and there are several others over the course of the time. We did some that were original that he wrote himself. And so he's definitely a man that I would say to be commended highly. And I will miss him as a friend, and I'll miss his contribution.
Lots of stories from Lewis, particularly about his trips to Park City, his kids and his grandchildren, Bearland, and Arizona. And I will tell you, he never told the same story twice. When Lewis took to the stage and he was to play a king, when he stood there, he was the king, and he was a royal king. And when he was to be a judge, he was a decisive judge. Lewis was a class act, and his life was a performance for Jesus Christ. So would you all please rise right now and give Lewis a standing ovation.
I love the way you love.
And Lou was just really a sweetheart. He was just always, like everybody said, kindest, most gentlest person. Giving. We had a common bond that he would always tell me about his son being in Park City, and that he was gonna, he was so excited about his trips up to Park City because we came from Utah, so we would share those things together that we knew of in Utah. And if you all know him very well, pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. He knew that I had a love for caresses or nativities. And so he actually brought me back a little nativity. It was just a little all-wood nativity. It was so special to me because he thought about me clear over in Israel. And I loved hearing his stories about all of his trips and, of course, his bears and Bear World and stuff. And just the sweetest, nicest man. He did talk about his family all the time, and he told me about the story about picking up his boys, and it meant so much to me. He told me about his other kid, his older children wanting a dog, and he told me this whole story about they couldn't have the dog, didn't want a dog, no dog, no dog, no dog, and then they brought the dog home, and then they finally got to keep the dog because he liked the dog too, and it was so funny that he said we finally.
Lieutenant Colonel Lewis Merryman Jr. was born to Lewis Merryman Sr. and Florence May Williams Merryman in Washington, D.C. on January 14th, 1937. His childhood is best described as both reserved and wondrous. In such ways, he grew up as a quiet, spirited boy that then became a lively, exuberant man with a dry sense of humor. He was a D.C. Teachers College graduate in 1958. Taught junior high, joined the Air National Guard, obtained a job at Department of Agriculture and Land Grants Division in accounting. Has a younger sister named Joan. Was married in 1964 to Mama Marion. If it wasn't for my dad and mom, both James and I wouldn't be here today. He supported the charitable funding with co-founders consisting of an Air Force Christian chaplain, a missionary pastor, and together they formed the Ulor Christian Orphanage in Thailand. Was stationed at Edwards Air Force Base, was appointed treasurer-elect at the Long Beach Alliance Missions Church. As a family, our dad moved to Virginia, Boston, Thailand, Edwards Air Force Base, Hawaii, Georgia, and then Los Angeles, where we spent our lives growing up in a well-rounded group. He loved to travel and visit distant historical biblical lands. He would vacation to hug the bears in Utah. So on this day, we honor, say thanks, salute, and bid a fond farewell to a great and kind man into the heavenly dwelling above. We say goodbye, but never forgotten, to Lieutenant Colonel Lewis Montague Merryman Jr.
That's awesome, man. When I hear stories like this, I think, here's a man who graced the earth and made us better. Made us better. And though I didn't get to know him, I'm gonna get to know him, I'm sure I'm going to hear more stories about him over the years. I'm going to ask Mike how he's doing, tell me a story, something you remember, and I'm going to hear something about bears that would then make sense to me, I'm sure, in the future. Listening to everybody, it reminded me of a story in the Old Testament where Jacob, in his older years, when he was about to pass away, he gathered his children together and he began to prophesy over each one of them. And when he came to Joseph, he said, "Joseph, you are like a tree that is planted by the edge of the vineyard, and your branches grow over the wall, and all those that walk by can partake of the fruit." And it reminded me of Lou as you guys were telling the stories. It's like it wasn't just his life and his family, but it's like everybody else got to benefit from the blessing of this guy's life, from the refreshment. I'm kind of sad in a way that I didn't get to see him here, but I'm going to hear, the legends of Lou. I'm gonna hear the stories. I'm gonna meet him one day, and it's gonna be an amazing day at that. So it will be with the resurrection of the dead. The body that is sown perishable is raised imperishable. It is sown in dishonor, but it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, but it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, but it is raised a spiritual body. Where, O death, is your victory? O death, where is your sting? And there is not going to be a sting of death with him. It's just a moment. And there is hope and encouragement in that. I like to end always with Psalm 23. When I'm done reading this, he's actually going to have military honors. The honor guard is going to come down, present the flag. And the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, and your rod and staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.